A tornado blew away a dog until something unexpected happened. The Tuscaloosa Birmingham tornado caused unrivaled destruction as it ravaged the local community. Homes were destroyed and lives were lost. The Storm Prediction Center had been monitoring the brewing storm. Days before the tornado would hit, the SPC issued a warning about the severe winds, categorized at a level of at least EF2. Many people heeded the warning, but few would truly anticipate the danger and devastation that was soon to come. The tornado tore through the towns, destroying everything in its wake. Tragically, the natural disaster would result in the death of 65 people, also leaving over 1,500 gravely injured. This enormous and severe storm was part of a larger series of storms that ravaged 8 states in over 3 days. On April 27, 2011, the tornado devastated North Smithfield in Birmingham, Alabama. It struck hundreds of homes, causing life-changing damage for many of the local families. One such family hid in their home's garage, huddled together with their dog, Mason. When the storm intensified, they rushed back to the house to take cover. In the commotion, they didn't take notice of whether their 2-year-old terrier Mix had made it inside the house with them. When the storm eventually subsided, the family searched the garage for their beloved Pooch. To their great sadness, their dog was nowhere to be found. They had to leave the house while extensive repairs could be done. They had little idea of where Mason had ultimately ended up. Mason's devastated owners began to fear the worst. They feared that Mason had died in the storm, but their intuition told them otherwise. For several days following the storm, the family searched the surrounding area for their beloved Mason. After days of no sighting of their 4-legged friend, they lost all hope, coming to terms with the loss of their family pet. Once the tornado had passed, animal shelters and rescue groups took to the streets in search for missing local animals. They were determined to reunite pets with their owners. At least 1,800 animals were displaced and separated from their loving families. A lingering question remained: was Mason still out there somewhere? Many owners assumed their displaced pets were gone forever. Mason's family had lost all hope that Mason would be found. If he had survived the terrifying ordeal, the family feared that he had been adopted by another family. The animal rescue shelters managed to reunite about 1/3 of the animals with their families. But if no one came forward to claim the animal after about 10 days, the rescue groups had to put the surviving animals up for adoption. The many volunteers at the rescue shelters knew that some pet owners had been injured by the storm. They extended the hold date of the animals for as long as possible. In many cases, the fees to reclaim the pets were also compassionately waived. We found a lot of animals with broken feet and broken tails as we lost a few due to internal injuries, Jennifer Bidwell of the Walker County Animal Shelter said. But where was Mason? After several weeks, many of the pets were transferred to the Greater Birmingham Humane Society. Candy Horsley, the manager at Coleman City Animal Shelter, said she received an estimated 400 animals. We have 24 usable kennels in our shelter and 20 foster homes for 107 animals, Horsley said. We are packed. Local Metro Animal Control also has 770, but still, little Mason remained missing. In the devastating aftermath of the historic storm, many animal control groups took to Facebook in an attempt to reunite pets with their owners. The Animals Lost and Found from the Tornadoes in Alabama on 4/27/11 was launched. Volunteers knew that the power of social media could greatly aid their heroic efforts. In total, 100 animals were reunited with their owners through the Facebook page. But courageous Mason had other plans. His family were not prepared for what would soon be uncovered. Almost a month after the tornado, Mason was still missing. His exasperated family was considering giving up their determined search for their pet. While many would have eventually given up, little Mason was considered a family member. The search continued, and Mason's family was soon in for a big surprise. 3 weeks after the tornado, Mason's family decided to go through the wreckage of their home one more time. They wanted to sift through the rubble and debris just one last time. Amidst the bricks and scraps, they spotted an unbelievable sight on their porch. Mason's family was totally gobsmacked when they found their precious Pooch sitting amidst the rubble of the porch waiting for them to rescue him. With his little tail wagging like crazy with happiness and relief, the family and their dog were finally reunited. They could hardly imagine what the desperate animal had suffered through over their time apart. When they took a closer look at Mason, everything soon became clear. As soon as Mason spotted his family, he hopped towards them. His owners broke down in a flood of tears of relief and joy. But when they saw him, it also broke their hearts. They couldn't believe that their dog had survived and managed to make his way home. Upon closer inspection, Mason had suffered over the last month. His legs were broken and he was extremely thin, but his spirit remained. The family were in awe that he had somehow survived. It turned out, as the family made their way back into their house to escape the tornado, poor Mason was sucked in by the twister and carried away by the strong winds. While many people and animals would not have survived such a violent force, Mason remained resilient. His front legs were badly broken, but that didn't stop Mason from crawling through the wreckage until he made it to his family's home. The dog was severely dehydrated, and his fur was matted and filthy. How had Mason's courageous spirit got him through the ordeal? Mason wasn't out of danger just yet. The beloved pet required immediate medical attention. The very worst part was that the family was still homeless and without the resources they needed to care for the injured animal. The family had to think of a solution to their predicament fast. In their dire circumstances, the family made a difficult decision. They made a call to the Birmingham Jefferson County Animal Control Center. They didn't want to be separated from Mason, but it was the best decision for the well-being of their pet. They had no money to pay for the medical care that Mason needed. Mason's owners didn't know it yet, but this would be the beginning of a life-altering journey for Mason and themselves. The volunteers at the animal control shelter were completely in awe of Mason's story of survival. For an animal just to show up on someone's porch after all this time was pretty remarkable, especially with the condition he's in, said Phil Doster, the coordinator of the shelter. It was really sad, but really moving too, that this dog had made his way home on 2 broken legs. He was emaciated, and his 2 front legs were literally flopping below the elbows, Doster added. Mason literally had to crawl on his elbows to get back. This little guy had no indication of pain remarkably. He was just happy to be home. His family did not want to surrender him, but they were doing what they thought was in the best interest for Mason. Doster soon had an idea. When Phil Doster saw the extent of Mason's frail state, he contacted the nearby Vulcan Park Animal Care Clinic to see if there was a surgeon on hand to help save Mason's life. Again, people were in awe of Mason's perseverance. As soon as the clinic heard of the dog's remarkable survival story, they offered to take x-rays of Mason immediately. But the brave dog's tenacity would touch the heart of someone else. When Dr. William D. Lamb, the owner and head veterinarian at the Vulcan Park Animal Care Facility in Birmingham, heard Mason's touching story, he offered to perform surgery on the injured dog for free. He was dehydrated, malnourished, about 50% of his normal body weight, said Lamb. Once Dr. Lamb soon enlisted the help of 2 orthopedic surgeons to operate on Mason's broken legs. Mason had to undergo an invasive 3.5 hours on the operating table in order to fix his multiple broken bones. The dedicated doctors placed 2 metal plates and 17 pins in his fractured legs. This extensive and intense surgery would have usually cost a small fortune, but the clinic operated on the brave pooch for absolutely nothing. Mason needed to remain at the clinic to ensure he had a full recovery. The whole process would take 5 weeks, but unbelievably, Dr. Lamb again offered all his clinic services completely free of charge. Yet again, Mason's incredible story would soon touch the heart of someone else who was hoping to help. Soon after the dog's surgery was completed, he began eating and seemed to be much healthier. He looked so much better. If all goes well, and he heals normally, we all expect him to be at 100% in 3 or 4 months down the road, and no one will ever know the difference, said Dr. Lamb. Chuck Eager, the manager and technician of the clinic who cared for Mason while the dog was in recovery, formed an incredibly special bond with the pup. Mason spent 4 months in recovery before the clinic could find a new and permanent living situation for the little guy. In his time in the clinic, Chuck Eager fell in love with Mason. I've seen dogs who have endured unbelievable hardships, but I've never seen one who was that injured yet remained so happy and sweet, he said. Mason's family also made frequent visits to the clinic. They have a little girl, and Mason is kind of her dog, Eager told ABC News. When they see each other, they both go crazy. His whole body wiggles when he sees her. She is so happy to see him, and so sad when they have to leave. Mason's incredible spirit and story of triumph over the odds earned him the memorable nickname Mason the Brave Tornado Dog, given to him by Chuck Eager, who soon created the Facebook page dedicated to the dog. Mason has gained over 7,000 followers and lots of media attention. Mason's survival tale was featured on several national news segments and in People magazine. Mason had amazingly made a full recovery, returning to his happy and healthy self. But trauma of the tornado would still often haunt the little pup. He does have a little issue with loud noises after being sucked out of a garage by something that sounds like a freight train, Dr. Lamb said on the Today Show. Mason's tale is one that has touched the hearts of so many people around the world. His story was soon featured in a Time book called People Amazing Pets. The hardcover book was sold at a host of stores to rave reviews by many dog lovers. Mason's story was detailed under the headline, Tougher Than a Tornado. Phil Doster recalled how Mason's injuries were severe. The dog was speculated to have dragged himself back to his family's home for 17 long and harrowing days. Mason is a true testament to the courage and willpower of a dog's spirit. He is definitely worthy of the title of man's greatest companion.